This week, we are still in Wunjo for our Runecast. We will be in Wunjo until the 28th of this month, at which point we move into Hagalaz and we will be full on in the dead time at that point. Some of you will recall about this time of year, I bring out the dead as represented in the Runecast. They are the season, and the season is doing your death work. So I have several different bones and teeth, some of which are kind of sort of mine. They're totally mine. And this is how we're going to approach the Runecast for the next few months. The dead will be the backdrop. And by the dead, I mean the ones that need help, the ones that are ancestralized, they have reconciled their earthly connections, they are in oneness, and they are here to help us. So I don't know where all of this is going to go. Some of this, as you can see, I've laid out the direction and elements already. We're going to talk about the season, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how Wunyo segues us into the dead time and figure out what our framing rune is. Everybody wants Wunyo to come up in their rune cast. Wunyo, Sowilo, Gebo, like those are the ones that everybody wants to come up in their rune cast. So from that standpoint, they're incredibly optimistic, and I feel like that is information to keep in the background of this rune cast. But the way that I'm feeling pulled with Wunyo at this time is a little bit different, and your mileage may vary, and it should. Like you do you do what speaks to you, what works for you. A lot of people express Wunyo as the rune of manifestation, right? It's the rune where you have lived, quote unquote, the law of attraction to its fullest, and it is returning, right? It's returning what you've invested. And that is what I want to talk about with this rune. I just don't feel like I can jump up and down with Wunyo right now because life and things are very difficult for everybody. And for some folks, absolutely more directly than others. The fear is real, the anxiety is real, not a whole lot of bliss feeling in that. And when we do have moments that we feel bliss, I dare say we're feeling kind of like shameful about them, guilty about them. I hear that from people a lot. And I want to reiterate that it's okay to feel joy. You need to feel joy, even when the overall tone of things is not joyful. And that's a place for us to work on. It's a place for us to check ourselves and be real about what's happening in our lives and what's happening in other people's lives, and still manage to feel joy and create joy where we can. But what I want to talk about with this close of the first et rune that is very much about having figured out how the ropes of the first et work, having figured out how to soul inform at a high level. And I think there's also a bit of fraughtness with that association with the first et because we haven't been taught that stuff in the American settler experiment. And that's what we're learning. And I dare say European diaspora probably has the most to learn about that because. So this whole law of attraction thing with Wunyo, it's the close of the first ed. We've figured out the rules. We've figured out how we're in relationship with them and how when we partner with other people with Gebo, that our agency is even more likely to manifest in a way that we have wanted, needed, desired. My qualm isn't with any of that. My qualm is with the law of attraction. This is not new. I've literally talked about this in my blog. So, the law of attraction is that you create your own reality. And I've always thought that was an incomplete statement to make. And when I would erase that at the time in the gorgeous 90s, people would just think I was like burning the Bible or something. I mean, truly, the off the hook people would be like, how can you say that? Of course, we make our own reality. And I'm like, I'm not saying we don't make our own reality. It's not the only factor that is shaping our reality. And that's where the Norse cosmology has always fit so realistically to me because it takes all of that into consideration, hence Wunjo. We are shaped by far more than ourselves because ourselves are shaped by far more than we can imagine. It's shaped by not just our own past, but our parents' past, by our ancestors' past, by all the choices they made, the deeds they did, good, bad, indifferent. It's shaped by other manifestations of ourselves. And to take that to a soul tending level, it's shaped by other manifestations of ourselves that are here and functioning in the driver's seat without our knowledge right now. So, all of that is on the table in how we make our choices, how we create our realities. And so, like a later propagation of that was, well, we create our realities by how we hold our thoughts. And that was awesome and great and brilliant. And I was like, yes, comma, but there's just something else missing from that because I know positive people all day who are missing so much from their lives and they know that they are. And so I was like, okay, there's got to be more to it than that. And as we know, toxic positivity is a thing. Something else I talked about a whole ages ago. And then that thought progressed to a collective, well, it's not about your thoughts, it's about your feelings. And I remember my awareness of that was, I'm pretty sure it's both. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not one or the other. They are in relationship. They are in relationship with our realities and our skill set that we actually have at our disposal to shape them, which may be extremely limited. It may be extremely privileged. Who knows? So that kind of sat with me weird, but it was more of the puzzle. I'm like, yeah, I get that because if I can't potentially name and hold how I'm feeling, let alone express it in a way that's healthy, then I don't move on. I think I don't remember. In one of my books, I quote a title of another book that is "Feelings Buried Alive Don't don't Die Well" or something like that. I'll have to go look it up. I'll look it up for you. But I'm like, yes, okay, now we're getting somewhere with this. You create your own reality, comma, through how you think and feel. And even that, the thing that I hit up against repeatedly as a trauma survivor from a formative age, I'm talking like 3 years old, my brain never shaped without trauma as the predominant feeling, the predominant leader in how I experienced the world. And that's true for loads of people. That's true for a huge amount of the population. I still felt like there was something more to that. That whole thinking and feeling is how you create your real reality. Because if you've been in therapy for 5 minutes, or if you've ever done a soul retrieval, or both, then you know that knowing how you feel does not automatically grant you the skill set to shift it. And so then I'm like, there's something about nervous system involvement here. And the universe is weird because it has a tendency to deliver whatever I need it to. And I read a thing last week and it wasn't related to the law of attraction. This is the association that I made, but the idea that we manifest through our nervous systems, not our thoughts, not our feelings, our nervous system. And again, for me, when I read it, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's all of that. Again, I don't, they're all in relationship. I'm not leaving them out because my thoughts and my feelings are utterly shaped by my nervous system. And so that's where I'm sitting with Wunyo today. And that's why I'm sitting from this place of Wunyo not exactly being jumping up and down blissful moment that we would normally explore during this half month rune. It's more that we understand how our nervous systems are in relationship with the moment, how we are in relationship with our nervous systems. And if you've read From Elder to Ancestor, then you know there's a chapter in the book in which I talk about the Nordic concept of Frithgard as an internalization of the nervous system. i.e., the spiritual manifestation of our nervous system. So I think that's something to put on the table this week. Like if there's a prompt for this rune cast, it's to get in relationship with your frith guard, your inner frith guard, and what it needs. Because it will tell you in a heartbeat what you're doing that is contributing to your nervous system not being able to I don't like the word regulate. We talked about that in the sharing session over the weekend. I hate that word because it's kind of gotten meaningless. And it means nothing in in a climate of complex post traumatic stress every day, all day. But this idea that if we can accept that our nervous system is a being with whom we are in relationship, then we can make different choices around how we're in relationship with our nervous system, which means our nervous system gets to respond differently. And it's not about regulation, not regulation. It's about choosing how we want to be in relationship with our nervous system. And Wunjo. I think Wunjo could be a beautiful personalization of that relationship to nervous system. Let's sit with that. Let's see where we go with our framing rune. We have Nalthese because of course we do. And I'm going to dump the rest of these runes out because when I was setting all of this stuff up, I was like, yeah, the rest of the runes want to be involved. I typically don't like to have any other runes showing when I'm doing the rune cast because I just feel like it creates noise, but I don't feel that way this time. I feel like they are the support gallery over here for everything that's happening in this. So Naldis is the rune of taking a pause. Like all of those entry into the second et runes are pauses. They're take your time with this. Don't rush through this. And if you do, there will be something vital that you miss that is going to affect you down the line. You're going to realize that you didn't get a thing and you won't know what the thing was. So all of the first three runes in the second et are about slowing down, feeling the things, and devising strategies around that that are based in reality. And in the context of Wunyo, in the reality of your nervous system, in the reality of how you deal with what you have to deal and still manage to stay in relationship with joy. Not always easy at all. Nowadays is suggesting that we take this whole relationship with Wunyo into a deeper ritualistic place. And I would interpret that as you need to go meet joy. You need to go meet the spiritual manifestation that is joy. And if you feel really comfortable with soul travel, then you need to shape shift with joy so that you understand how your nervous system feels when it experiences joy. Shapeshifting is a wonderful technique for learning how your synapses wire and the nervous system interprets and holds and feels things. And when we learn to do that, when we can do that kind of ritualistic mapping of joy, we can call it up spontaneously. We don't have to wait for joy to happen. It's a sensation that we hold in our mapping that we can bring up anytime. And I don't know about y'all, but that's writing on the wall to me. That is a skill that we need to have locked down and know how to do. Nalthis is the rune of need fire level ritual. And what I mean by that, I've talked about this a ton of times, and deep ritual is needed sometimes. Even in a Eminem sized ritual daily life, we need big ritual sometimes, and need fire is in specificity a purification ritual. It's a cleansing ritual. It's a death walking ritual to let go of things. And so maybe there are some things, even though there's ritual in this to get in relationship with the spirit of Wunyo, there may be things that we need to release first. There may be things that we need to call on the janitors of the wild hunt as we move into this season, the janitors of the dead, who can take away the stuff that we don't have to name. We don't have to know what it is. We don't have to scream it into a pillow. We don't have to soul retrieve anything. It can just be swept out like trash. There is such distress and noise in our systems that can just be let go of. And so anything that can be let go of that interferes with our ability to let this deep ritualization of joy happen, this is a good time to do that. The direction that we're working with this week is east. And for me, it's represented by the dark green waters that I live near. They're struggling. The ocean, the Neuse River, the Cape Fear, they're all struggling at this point. East for me, it's home. It is literally the ground that grew the food that I eat. It is the ecosystem that I grew up in. It's my anchoring of self in relationship from a coastal standpoint. And for me, it symbolizes everything I need to do to feel at home. And I don't think a lot of us equate home with joy, but maybe we should, because I'm not talking about home as you actually experienced it. Obviously, you can't bypass that, but I'm talking about the experience of home that you want to have and feel in your own body, in the own space where you live, in your own ecosystem that you inhabit. And that's a goal. Maybe that's another being to call in and talk with this week. The element that we're working with is air, the feathers that are present. Air is the element of transmission, and that's pretty freaking perfect moving into wild hunt season. We need to have our bag of trash collected, tied up, and waiting on the curb for the wild hunt. There are active things we can do to participate in the wild hunt. If I can manage to throw time together to do one, then I would like to do that. If y'all are up for it, let me know. Drop me a comment on Discord. It's always a good ritual to do together, but you can do it on your own. Literally, take time to prepare. If it's writing it down, if it's just jotting down a list, if it's just saying it aloud, what you're ready to let go of. Could be relationships, could be just this is the season that you clear your home space energetically and you're wiping that all away. Could be a relationship, could be a loved one that you've let go of, could be a job, any number of things. Whatever is ready to be set at the curb for the wild hunt to pick up, make that happen. Do your part in helping that to happen. They don't know what you need to be rid of. And so we can take that initiative to just have it ready. And their job is to just take it, express active gratitude for them doing that job. I'm going to use this root from my tooth to see what season that sets our tone. It just kind of gives us a sense of pacing. And we have spring. That's interesting. So, spring is busy. I mean, I think, where do I put this? I think of spring as very, very busy. Um, it's the timing here at least we have like a mid-season between winter and spring where things are kind of like they're awake but they are not exactly alert, and so that's not exactly a quick paced component that we experience in spring here. I know some places switch like that, one day it's winter, 2 days later it's spring. It wobbles where I live. So I think your interpretation of what spring can mean for your tone right now can be based in how you experience your ecosystem. And really, honestly, it should be based in how you experience your ecosystem, not in how I experience mine. Um, Mine is kind of like play it day by day, my experience of spring. And for me, that makes sense for everything that's on the table in this rune cast, everything that is running full pace in my life right now, and everything that is happening globally. The golder that we're working with this week is Wunjo, Wunjo, Win, and we have a Naldis, Nad, Naldi. Some people say nid also. When you work with the galder, work with it the way that your body wants it put together, the way your breath forms relationship with the sound vibration of the rune. That is how it needs to be in that moment. And if you decide, I need to be more specific about this, I want to be on point in my pronunciation, that's fine, as long as it isn't taking away from that resonance, because that resonance is stimulating your vagus nerve, which is soothing your nervous system. This is the way the Galder came together for me. Wunjo naudi, 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 woon, 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 woon. This scalder, I think, is going to take some practice for me. Joy is not my nature. It is not. I mean, I'm sure it probably is my nature, but the effort it takes for me to get to it is gymnastic level. And I was an adult before I had a fully resonant memory of joy from my childhood. And that memory is what I go to feel joy in my nervous system in the present. And so I was kind of thinking of that while I was doing the Galder, and it needed to change. Like the Galder needed to change mid chant, and I just need to work with it some more. I would love to hear how this Galder works for you. My thoughts are with you, my heart is with you, and I thank you for all that you do every day.